FX Nation, what's up guys? Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to another video. And guys, let's talk about the London session. What are the best setups that literally just happened in the London session? And we're going to be talking about specifically the pound pairs. Some of the pound pairs made some really nice moves during the London session. Let's go over these specific setups that happened on some of the pound pairs. Let's take an in-depth look at each of these setups. Let's talk about what would be the entries, why the entries are there, exits, and all that stuff. So without further ado, let's get this started with the London session, and let's break down these pairs, guys. All right, so let's start off with pound USD. If we go back and take a look here, pound USD had a unbelievable, really good setup here. Type 3 setup. You could see type 3 setup here hitting the middle of the range. So this is essentially the setup here that I'm talking about. Is that right there. What made this setup a good setup? Okay. Let's talk about that. So the first thing is you got to have, number one, the pattern, right? So the pattern we know in this case was a type 3 pattern. All right. You had a railroad track at that pattern that helped create that pattern. And then you also had it pinning to the 50. So you had the pattern, you had a pattern within it being a railroad track. And then you also had a pin to the 50 at the same time. So that right there are the three, those are just three confirmations right there. Then you start looking at things like the TDI. You can see the TDI made also an M right at the 50 as well. Okay, so that's 4 confirmations. And then if you take a look at where you are, you're essentially getting down to the very bottom of the cycle, right? So we're coming off of this peak here, and we've been basically moving sideways for a couple days, and then we automatically went ahead and started moving down. So from that peak to where we are now, we're pretty much 3.5 times ADR. All right, so we're getting to the very bottom of this. So this might be very well the last, the last sell option that we have, and we might start looking for some buy setups from now on. But we had multiple confirmations. We're going with the trend on this type 3 setup. The entry itself would have been essentially you had the railroad track here that confirmed the pattern, and then you had the pullback. So anywhere on this pullback candle is your entry. Okay. And you can see it's well over 2 to 1. It's 6.5 to 1 almost risk reward ratio. It ended up producing well over 86 pips. I think it was 90. But yeah, well over 85 pips on that one trade. All right, so let's take a look at another one here. And this one is pound CAD. And as you can see, pound CAD gave us, almost an identical trade to pound USD. In this case, same thing, type 3 setup, railroad track to the middle of the range. Also same thing, pinning to the 50. Also had the TDI is also rejecting off the 50, but also off the yellow line here on the TDI as well. Okay, so those are all confirmations right there. And then the actual the bigger picture, you're coming off of a peak formation high here because you just had, what was it, 3.5 times ADR move up. So here's your peak, and then boom, you had your type 3 setup straight down. This one very similar, like I said, to pound USD in the sense that the pattern is the same and the entry is pretty much the same thing also, where you're getting in on the pullback after that railroad track. So you had two pullbacks here that could have given you, an entry there. And so the setup is essentially this right here. And I mean, you could see this thing went on for the whole day, like a whole day, big time. Big time. Almost at 9, almost a 9-to-1 risk reward ratio. Ridiculous. This was 154 pips the whole day. Straight down. That's pretty badass trade. So multiple confirmations coming off a peak formation high. Best time to trade. Sells is coming off a peak formation high. Same thing, best time to buy is coming off a peak formation low, of course. Multiple confirmations, patterns super clean. These are the kind of setups that you want to trade. You're not going to get these setups every day, and that's perfectly fine. And that's the thing that you guys have to accept and understand, is that just because you come to the markets to look for trades or come to the markets to trade doesn't mean that you're actually going to get a good trade. And so I think one of the biggest mistakes that you guys make is the fact that you're always coming into the market wanting to trade, wanting to trade, wanting to trade. When the simple fact that you really, what you should be thinking about is coming into the markets and seeing, is there a setup that I like, that I've seen, that I've back tested, that I know will give me a good return on my investment. It's not about just coming in and trying to pick up trades every single day, because every day there's not going to be just setups like this, and that's fine. But you see, if you wait for the setups, even if you don't trade every day and you take let's say three trades a week, if the trades that you're taking are producing things like this, like what the hell does it matter if you're taking three trades a week? The reason that you should be trading is obvious. Yes, you're trading to make money, but you should be trading to get your time back, right? Because you're not doing this for 8 hours a day like you would at a regular job. Your trading windows are basically outlined by this box. 4 hours in London, 4 hours in US. So if you're specifically trading London, you got a 4-hour window. If you're specifically trading the US session, you got a 4-hour window. And the last one here is pound JPY. Pound JPY gave us a type 2 setup. As you can see here, we had a first leg in Asia, second leg in the London session. Second leg railroad track here. You could see we got an M formation also here on the TDI as well, coming back down and crossing. So where is the entry? Depending on how you saw this, because I think some people could have seen this as the first leg and this right here as the second leg. If you saw it like that, then your entry would be on the pullback. The entry would be on the pullback, and you're at a 5.5 to 1. If you saw this as the first leg, this railroad track as a second leg, then again, same thing, a pullback on the next candle. You get in and you essentially get a 6 to 1. So almost a full, 1-to-1 risk reward ratio more when you take it, if you would have taken it earlier here on this railroad track. But still, I mean, what you're getting out of it is ridiculous anyways. Even if it's a 5.5 to 1 or 6.5 to 1, it doesn't matter. Like, really, it does not matter. But you had multiple confirmations for this particular trade, bouncing off the top of the Asian range here. Second leg, that's your pattern. Pattern within the second leg, railroad track. You had a pullback, you had the TDI confirmation, and you're going again with the trend. You know that you're getting close to the end here because you're at 4 times ADR right now. And so this right here becomes probably your peak formation low here. And it's the same thing that you should be looking probably for buys now coming in for the rest of the week here. You could end up getting some more buys and essentially get a midweek reversal, because they spent the last 2 days, Sunday, Monday, straight down, and Tuesday, giving you a false move. There's your reversal, and you could potentially get buy setups now. Not to mention, like I said, you've gone 4 times ADR coming off of a reset. So I think lots of great things to look forward to this week on some of these pound pairs. If you trade pound JPY, pound CAD, and pound USD. All right. So 3 really good trade setups that had everything that you would want in a trade setup. And that's the point. The more things that you have in a trade setup, the more confirmations, the better, the higher likely that trade will play out for you. So the one thing that I'll tell you guys is the best thing that you could possibly do is go back and capture the trade setups that you like. So think about trade setups that you enjoy trading, whether it be type 1s, 2s, or 3s. Which of those setups are the ones that you love the trade, that you understand the best? And start creating a checklist for those specific setups that must be made, that you must have in order to take the trade. It could be 5 things, 5 confirmations. Pattern, obviously. Second leg, railroad track star pattern. How many bars is in between the first and the second leg? Is it 5 or more bars? TDI confirmation, is it bouncing off the pin bar? These are all things that you can use in a checklist. And so as long as all those things are met, you can take the trade and now essentially become just a person that literally goes by and checks off everything on the list. If it's there, you take the trade. If it's not, you don't take the trade. That's it. And so trading becomes very black and white for you, and it's either there or it's not there. And so that lowers your emotional risk, because you're not going to be freaking double guessing yourself about taking a trade. It's either there or it's not. It's very simple. All right? So try to keep things very simple. Don't complicate it. We humans do an excellent job of complicating everything. Let's not complicate it. Let's keep it simple. All right? If you guys need any more help, we have the summit, the Blueprint Summit this weekend. Blueprint Summit is this weekend. You do not want to miss it if you have not signed up for it. All right? So this weekend, Blueprint Summit, 16 hours straight, 2-day event, 16 hours of straight content. No BS. All right? If you want to join, links are in the description. Once again, guys, thank you so much and enjoy the rest of your week.